Hello, Denmark. How are you going, Dennis?
Well, everything's good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. You're welcome, man. I gotta ask, how does this scene finish? Because it sort of finishes on a cliffhanger, like what is she? Is she a detective or something? Like she walks out and yeah, cool, man.
Yeah. Actually, well, it's a showreel scene that we filmed on the course that just ended in England. And they asked us to choose something that casting directors and the agents don't see every day. Like there are some scenes that everyone chooses, and I thought, why not take the advantage of being Danish? So I translated a Danish scene from Fraud is the translation from Bedrag is the Danish TV series. And into English. So,
cool.
To have something that not everyone has seen before, and it's in the middle of a season, so I can't reveal too much.
Right. Okay, fair enough. So this is actually a Danish scene that has been sort of translated for you to use in the showreel.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. And so this was a part of your acting education in London. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Excellent.
So it's not, what is it? A couple of months back we did this before all the Corona and such. We had a acting for camera module where we did a lot of training in front of the camera and did all the wrongs. And then ended up with this kind of assessment where we had to choose a scene and we got a product that we could use to send out to agents and casting directors basically all over the world. So we had something, a physical product to show to others to help us in our career.
Fantastic. So, tell us a bit about, the whole, so obviously like you just recently graduated. So, when you started this, how long ago was that? Like the whole, acting school in London?
That was in September 2018. I started on what they call an MFA in acting, a Master of Fine Arts in acting, at East 15 Acting School in London. Yeah. So it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, excellent. So you had to obviously relocate to London and go into the school over there. So that whole transition, coming from, a small town in Denmark and then moving over to, one of the biggest cities in Europe, try and walk us through that sort of transition.
Well, it's kind of terrifying in a way. But to be honest, I didn't move from this small village in Denmark directly to London. I moved from Odense, where I'm from, outside Odense, moved to Copenhagen in 2016 to study at a private acting school over there. And to be honest, that was actually the most terrifying shift, which it shouldn't be, but it was. Moving from family and friends and all my network here in Odense to Copenhagen was terrifying in a way, because all my life I've been in Odense, and my prior career as a salesman was in Odense. All this security and safety net, not cutting the line, but kind of cutting the line so that I can start a new life in Copenhagen, was terrifying. So once I dealt with that and was like, yeah, this is good now. Now I'm living the good life. And this opportunity to audition for an acting school in London came up. I was like, yeah, why not? I moved once. That was a big change. This is just the same again. So I know what to do in a way. Obviously, it's another country. It's another kind of other culture. all of these things. That was the terrifying bit, because I was like, okay, so a committee of people have decided that I'm good enough to attend this master's program, not a bachelor program where people normally start doing the bachelor and then doing the master's degree. I was directly put into the master's degree program, because they thought that the training I did in Copenhagen and my resume CV was equivalent to a bachelor degree. So they were like, no, straight into the master's degree. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But also, then what? Like, is my English good enough? Do I understand people good? Because like I've dealt with English prior in my life. I obviously taught it in school and such, but never really, used it. I understand more than I speak or spoke when I started. So I remember a couple of weeks before moving there, I was like, yeah, no, this is going south. Like I'm going to be the annoying student in class being like, excuse me, what does that mean? I don't know. Could you rephrase, all of these things? Yeah. Because I was like, shit, every day from now on is going to be in English. Like going to the supermarket, taking the train, asking all administrative important questions about insurance, about rent, about all these sorts of things. I was like, that's going to be in a language which I've been taught in school years and years back. So that was exciting, going there, being like, how's that going to work? But it turned out that it went well. Like all the international students were like, wow, you guys really speak the English language very well and have a much bigger vocabulary and such than they would have thought from the beginning, because obviously in England they are being taught English and that's it. And unless it's on university and such. So it came quite naturally after a couple of weeks. Obviously I had to settle in and such, but just having normal conversations about nothing, like small talks, was like, okay, I can do that now. And I clearly understand what's going on. And I'm not the only person not understanding everything in class, because one thing is the language, another thing is the terms being used, all of these sort of things. But like a lot of the local students from England was like, what does that mean? So I wasn't alone. So that was soothing in a way, being like, okay, this is not as terrifying as I thought from the beginning. So yeah, that was probably the biggest, concern before I left for England. Like how is my everyday life going to be compared to the Danish, because that's my first language. And then obviously a bit of cultural differences, not too much, but still, like because of my knowledge for the language before leaving, which wasn't too much. So, probably the same in Australia. People are like, oh, how you doing, mate? And I was like, okay, how am I doing? I am, and, started talking and as many people do, looking away or looking up or looking down, thinking, and then I looked back and they were gone, Like, why did you ask me if you don't want to know the answer? And I'm like, oh, of course, stupid me. It's just a way of saying, instead of saying hello or hi, it's hi, mate. Yeah. So, and that was one of the biggest things. I was like, I had to learn that and not being like, oh yeah, because, sometimes actors can be a bit sensitive. I'm not saying all, but okay. And I learned a lot about checking in with myself, being, okay, how am I today? Okay, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and why is that? So I was like, okay, I'm this today, and what? Okay, you're gone. okay, cool. So just being like, okay, yeah, how you doing? No.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
Like that question is literally asked to be returned. Like that is, but I was exactly the same when I first got here. I started talking to people, and that's not how that question works.
No.
But that's cool. I mean, obviously, as you said yourself, it's a new culture. It's a new place that you just got to learn to adapt into and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
and then also the politeness of England and London in particular as well. Like, that was something I really had to deal with, not in a negative way, but deal with, because like you could be in the way of someone and walking towards another person, and they would go, "Oh, sorry," and opening the door into the toilet at the school and almost hitting someone with it, and they would go like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not." And in the beginning, I was like, why are you so? I almost knocked you down with the door. Why are you sorry? I should be sorry, and I am. So it's that whole fight about who's the most polite. It's like, sorry, no, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. That back and forth. But again, it's a cultural thing. Not saying we're not polite or not. We are, but in another way.
For sure.
Yeah.
That
was a fun thing to learn.
It is. I get it. It's very basic, and obviously, like once you know it, that engagement or interaction you have, you're fine. But why London? What was it that sort of made you go over there, as opposed to obviously staying in Copenhagen? Like if you just moved there and that was already a massive sort of stepping outside your comfort zone. So why do all that again? Why not stay in Copenhagen? Well, is it because you because I'm assuming here, just as an actor or as a musician or someone who wanted to make it big. Obviously, if you can make it outside of Denmark, you significantly increase your odds or your range. Had that anything to do with it, or was it like how did that opportunity sort of present itself and make you decide to go?
Well, it did, because like we have an acting school in Denmark, a government-based acting school, and because we have the free education and all of that, they only take a small amount of people in every year. So it's a tough one to attend, and I don't know why they didn't want me. I have my assumptions, and that's my assumptions only, and some other people's as well. But, it was, I think I might have been too mature or too trained or something. Like I wasn't right for the Danish acting schools.
Right.
At any point. So after audition for it a couple of years, also at audition in Sweden, I was like, no, it's not right for me. And then at one point, after having been studied at this private school in Copenhagen, I did a show back home in Odense, called Rock of Ages, which I know you know about. And I had the head of the school in Copenhagen come see it, which he did. And we went to a bar afterwards, had a couple of beers, talked about the show, talked about the future. And he's really been a great mentor and a very good private friend as well now. And I was like, what we do a lot in Denmark is we prepare for auditions for the schools by spending time with already professional actors and get them to help us prepare and all of that. And I was like, if he could help me, and he was like, of course, I'll help you get ready.
Oh, good.
And he was like, so okay, have you found your texts, audition texts? And I was like, yeah, because we have this and this in Denmark. And he was like, what about England? And we had talked about it the year beforehand about it. And I said, I'm not going to England. Like, that's no place for me. It's also expensive, living there, having to pay for my education, all of this. And then he said it, with a little sparkle in his eye, and I was like, I'm not going to England. Like, and we had a conversation about it, and he was like, what is your dream? What is it? Why is it you want to attend the school then? What is the main goal for this? And I was like, well, to get the training, to get this stamp of being a professional actor, a trained actor. And he was like, okay, well, obviously you can try once a year in Denmark, and get declined every time, being turned down every time. And you can do this for a couple of years, not having spent any money on it, or you can try an audition for East 15 Acting School in London, which he knows a lot about. And he said, I am 100% sure they will take you immediately. And then after 3 years, because we were talking about the bachelor degree, which is 3 years, and he was like, and in 3 years' time, you can have that paper, that diploma saying you are now a professional trained actor. Yeah, you have student debt. But what was your aim? What was your goal? That's the diploma. And it was like, so in 3 years' time, you can still be trying to attend Danish school, or you can try now and be finished in 3 years. And that just hit something in me. I was like, yeah, you're right. And then, like, I'm not getting younger. So if I have to go outside Denmark, maybe now's the time. Obviously, I still attended the audition for the Danish acting school, and being a little bit spiritual, something told me at that audition that I'm not supposed to be in Denmark.
Yeah.
Like, I got an injury in my left calf.
How?
7 minutes before going into my audition for the Danish schools. So I think I did a pretty good job. But something told me that I wasn't supposed to study in Denmark, and I didn't move on from the first audition. So, but that was okay at that point. Like, I would have been, devastated about it, because okay, now I have to wait another year. But now I was like, at this point in time, in that, what was it, mid-January 2018, I was like, okay, they turned me down, fine. But I have my East 15 audition in 2 weeks, and now I have a major injury in my leg. Like, am I supposed to be an actor at all, So I started some treatment and got a lot of expansion tape on my calf before this audition for East 15, and, well, apparently nailed it. But that was actually the most important audition for me, and not the Danish one, which was quite surprising for me. But having been turned down on the day, calling up my mentor and my friend, being like, so yeah, I was turned down again, and he was like, oh yeah, okay, well, shit happens, that's life. And I was like, yeah, but I also got this injury. And he was like, so do you trust me now that you're not supposed to be at this school? And I was like, yeah, maybe the universe is trying to tell me something, and then 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks after, going to the audition for East 15 in Copenhagen, because they travel around, because they are so,
right. That's convenient.
They are very, very, very glad to have international students. So they travel around the big cities in Europe, and all over the world, having the auditions. Or you can go to London, but it was convenient for me to do it in Copenhagen.
Oh, for sure.
So I did. Yeah, and they were like, yeah, straight away, like almost straight away. We didn't get the answer on the day, but he was like, so why have you only auditioned for the bachelor degree? And I was like, well, I thought that was the only possibility. And he was like, I must say, with your experience and how mature you are, I would encourage you to apply for the master's degrees. And I was like, well, if that's doable, write it on your paper, you know. And then 2 days after, I got an email that I was accepted into the master's degree.
That's
so
awesome.
That was nice.
Yeah,
that's
nice. Fantastic.
Yeah. So that was why I chose London, basically, off of, you know, the whole why not? Like, it made sense after having that conversation with my mentor and friend, because, yeah, why not? Why limit myself to Denmark? Not saying that's a bad thing at all. I would love to work in Denmark, obviously, because it's where I'm from. But also he was like, he's in England twice a year, seeing a lot of theater, knowing a lot of industry people as well. And he was like, that's why he said, I'm 100% sure they're going to take you, because you are made for the British market. Like you have the features, you have the things they want. So why not do it? And I was like, well, fuck it, let's do it then.
What features are they like to be made for that market? Yeah,
well, he and other facilitators, teachers, directors I've worked with has told me that I'm very expressionistic, if that's the word. You know, I'm big in my physical, like in my body language, and I'm quite in your face. I'm quite an in your face actor, because I don't know. I've lived a life, if you want. Like I've tried many things. I've quite early on had a big responsibility, being in retail and such. So you know, I had a maturity to me that, according to them, is quite out there compared to some other actors. I used to be a little bit bigger than I am now. Being a student in London, you lose a lot of weight.
How's that?
That's not why. No, but you know, I have like the posture I have the face features. I don't know what they are. This is just what I'm being told. But like, obviously, Scandinavian actors are quite. People are quite interested in them, in both in the UK and the US and all of these other places where, you know, streaming services like HBO and such. Like, look at Game of Thrones, look at Vikings, The Last Kingdom, all of these TV series and movies where a lot of Scandinavian people are working in, is because they are interested in Scandinavian people at the moment. So yeah, that was why he said, like, I'm just, mate, do it. Like you can. I believe so much in you. And I was like, okay, if someone else really picture wise is pushing me towards it, saying, do it.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it, might just give it a chance. Like, if they turn me down, okay, they turn me down. Or if they do it, I still have the opportunity to say no. But at least I could give it a try and then take my decision upon their decision. So I did, and it felt right to me. I felt like I needed my adventure. Like I was educated quite early. Like, I had my adult education a few months before I turned 20, and started building my adult life with buying an apartment, buying a car, you know, all these things. All I needed was a girlfriend or a wife and some kids and a little dog, and then
you would have been set.
You know? Yeah. And then moving to Copenhagen, having to start all that over, was freeing and nice and good for me. It was having a taste of the adventure. I have a brother who lived in Malta for 4 years, and I've always been quite, you know, envious on him, being like, oh, that sounds so cool. living outside of Denmark, all of these things, doing what you want, pursuing your dream, like just take chances in life and succeeding with them as he did. And I was like, well, I can only do so much. If I succeed, we'll see. Up until now, it's been all right, you know. But I was like, I want to live outside Denmark. I want to go on my adventure. I just did it a couple of years later than he did, but that was like, no, now's the time, you know. Now's the time for me to experience something. Like, I've never traveled outside Europe. A lot of people go to Asia, or go to the States, or Australia or something, like for a longer period of time, having that adventure. And I was like, well, why not tick two boxes, having my adventure and taking my degree at the same time? So
absolutely,
yeah, I haven't regretted it at all. Like, it's been the time of my life, you know. Like, I'm so grateful having done this, both towards myself and for everyone I've met on the way over, like in the UK. Gained a whole new network. I've met so many new friends for life, you know. Yeah, it's been great. Like, I couldn't have asked for anything else.
But so where did all this begin? Because obviously you are, how old are you?
I'm turning 30 in October. So
okay, well that's like in the acting game. That's still pretty young. So
yeah,
how long have you been acting for, and how did all that begin? Because sort of if I run through all the information you have on your website, you've done a lot of theater. And there's a big difference between doing theater and doing film. Like, theater is same as this. Like, you're on. It's like it's live. You cannot go back and fix stuff. Whereas obviously when you're doing a movie, there's like, cut, we'll do that one again. So when you started, how old were you, and sort of what caught on? Like, this is cool. I need to do this.
Well, like, it's a fun story. It's a cute story thinking back on it now. I remember being at my grandparents for, I think it was a birthday celebration or something, and they had a guest room with a TV in it. And I was like, well, Mom and Dad, I'm tired. I'm going to go up into the room watching some TV. And I saw like a Danish kids movie called Albert, I think it was. Alfred Albert, something like that. And then they showed behind the scenes afterwards.
Right.
And I just remember watching that. I was like, God, that's cool. I don't know why, but it was just, that looks so cool. And then on the way home, as I remember it, my parents are looking right now as well, so I might say something else. But as I remember it, I just told them, like, I want to try and act, like do acting. And then they looked for community theater, amateur theater around where we lived, and found a theater, and they had like a youth theater, not a program, but just like every Tuesday from 7 to 9, I think it was, PM. I went there and did some theater exercises and put on some amateur shows once a year, and it was just a place where I felt home, like I fitted in, so to speak. As some actors, most actors, this is a guess, but most actors probably, and maybe even some musicians as well, have felt during their childhood and teens, being like, I'm different. It's not everyone who plays music. It's not everyone who does acting. There is a lot more percentage of young people playing football or these things. And I stopped playing football to do acting and to do theater. And that was weirdly looked upon from in this little village I'm from. But I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, this is right for me. It feels right. So yeah, that's what I did. I'm not going to go too too deep into these sad stories, but like, as a lot of people not fitting in, you can't measure sadness, or you can't measure how much it has impact on you depending on what happened to you. It's different from each individual. And yeah, I've dealt a lot with self-awareness and low self-esteem, and from a young age, maybe mainly because of me doing something that was weird or different from the city I'm from, or from the village I'm from. But all that didn't matter to me, because like, you win some, you lose some. I won fitting in. I won having a great time. I won being a part of a family in this amateur community theater. I lost a lot of bullying and such in school because of it. But yeah, you know, that, some people thought it was cool as well, but yeah, it was just weird not fitting in and all of that. So, but I was like, fair enough. But I like this. I love doing this. This is like every Tuesday. That was my, you know, my getaway card. That was the thing you looked forward to do. I did. So yeah. So it just felt right, and that just kept doing that for years and years and years and years. And at one point, I changed to another theater and did that for a couple of years, and then I turned, I don't know, 16. No, I still did it then. 18, 19, and started at as a sales apprentice in a menswear shop. And obviously now my day schedule was different, and I couldn't do it as much. But at this point in time, I also played music. Like, I started playing guitar fairly around the same time as acting. So I found quite early on that I loved being creative and loved to perform. But then, yeah, when I worked as a salesman apprentice, I was like, I don't have the time to do it as much, because it is time consuming to do productions and such. It's a lot of months. It's a lot of time in the evening, and working in retail, man, that just, you know, opening hours and such.
Oh yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah. Oh, I have a little guest. But yeah, but that's when it started, you know, and quite early on, I was like, I know what my dream is, man. I know I want to be an actor. I know I want to, you know, have a degree from an acting school, but having the stamp, having the confirmation towards the society that I am an actor, whatever that is. So yeah.
How old were you when you realized this?
10, like.
Wow. Okay. So when you were 10, you realized that this is my path in life.
Yeah, this is what I want to do.
Wow. So yeah. Do you think maybe that sort of made you a bit more resilient to some of the bullying in school? Sort of knowing that you had this path that you had to pursue, and so it didn't really matter if everybody else sort of gave you a bit of, you know, shit for doing something, you know, something other than playing football or of following the sort of like the mainstream life. Do you think that would have made a difference?
It, for sure, it has made a difference. And probably at the point in time, it's both. It's a two-headed snake in a way, because I feel like, yes, that has definitely something to do with it. I want to do this. I like this. But on the other hand, looking back on it now, obviously there's been a lifetime or two since that, at least because of changing my path every now and then. But looking back on it now, it might has also, you know, done that. Okay, I do acting. I put on a mask. I put on someone else's persona or characteristics, not being myself. And at the time, having a lot of bullying and such, maybe it's not a maybe. I put on a mask, being like, yeah, man, that's cool. Ha, ha. But behind that mask, I was having a hard time. Like I don't remember from day to day basis being sad and being, put down because of it. But in my later teens and such, a lot of things happened in my life negatively, and I cracked at some point, like completely had to see a psychologist and talk about my problems, and a lot of these things came up as well, with my low self-esteem, with my self-awareness, all of these things, which probably is from the bullying time. So obviously it built up inside me, and at one point we cracked. We can only hold so much. But I also feel like that time where I cracked was good for me, because then I could start over, trying to build the Dennis I wanted to be rather than the Dennis I had to be. However weird that sounds for some people.
That's actually a really cool way of putting it. I like that. I like that way.
So yeah, obviously knowing that was my dream, that has helped me pursuing my dream, and helped me choose the paths through my teenage years and young adult years and such. Like it has definitely helped me, and was also the reason I at some point stopped. Like I after have done my apprentice training, I got hired as a salesman in a menswear shop, and eventually I would be the assistant store manager, and then at some point have my own store as well, being the store manager of my own store as well. And this is like, I became a store manager at 23 and stopped at 26, just before I turned 26, because I was like, at one point, okay, Dennis, this is not what you wanted. This wasn't your dream.
Yeah.
You're building an adult life based on something not that I didn't want to do it, but that wasn't my dream. So I was like, okay, what's my options now? And then I found this private school in Copenhagen, got an audition, got in, called up my HR boss saying, hey man,
see ya.
Bye. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but again, like I don't, in the beginning in Copenhagen and all of this, I was like, I really regretted having spent so much years in retail, working, trying to prove something to someone, to myself, instead of pursuing my dream. But looking back on it now, I don't, because it made me who I am. Like it's helped make me who I am, and helped me give me this maturity and knowledge in life. You know, in the school of life.
Can I ask a quick question in regards to this? Because I'm a bit curious to see, like, sort of to get your thoughts on what it was that made you sort of stop and realize and said, look, this job is okay, but this is not what I want. And then I think a lot of people, whether you want to be, like you mentioned, a soccer player, when you were younger, or an actor, a musician and stuff, but a lot of people have dreams when they're kids. But so few people actually take that chance. And especially by the time, like you said yourself, like you escalated quite quickly and got promoted and all of a sudden you had your own store and you had responsibility and stuff. For you to take that risk and saying, hang on, fuck it. This is not me. This is not what I was meant to be or what I wanted to be, and actually follow your dream. Because that's a big thing. To sort of let all that go. So what made you do that? What was your thought process to sort of saying, this is not what I want. I gotta let it go.
Well, it's spread out on a couple of years. I think, obviously I've done a lot of thinking back myself, during these years and how it all got like fitted together. But I remember my older brother at some point, I think actually he was No, he lived in Copenhagen at this point when he said this to me, but he came back to Odense and we went for a night out, had a couple of pints and such. And I remember him saying to me, like, he said, as I remember it, like, Dennis, I'm no actor. I don't know what it takes, but I know you're good. And I know that a lot of people say you're good and tells me that you're good. So I have no doubts in you that you can do this if you want to. The issue is you're too scared. Like, you are too reliant on your safety net, on like the net underneath it that catches you. Like, come to Copenhagen. Not saying that's the right decision for everyone, but come to Copenhagen and pursue this dream. I unfortunately can't remember when this was. Like, it might be, it might be 4 years actually before I took the decision, maybe 5 years. So in the beginning I was like, no, I'll prove him wrong. I'll make it by staying in Odense, you know? And then, after becoming the assistant manager, store manager, and then the store manager, as I remember it, like, I just woke up one day, like, or being at work some day, putting down some new products, new trousers or something, and just being like,
what am I doing?
Okay. This is what you do every day. And because now I have so much responsibility, I can't do shows, amateur shows or semi-professional shows in Odense and such, because you don't have the time to do it. And I think I had like an inner dialogue with myself being like, but this is not what you wanted. No, but you also pursued another thing where you showed something that you could do what they told you couldn't. And I feel it as it just was like, no, one day, like, nope. No more. And then all the consequences, like, sort of builds up, all the thoughts being like, okay, so how do I do this? And what do I do? And blah, blah, blah. And what do I lose any people on this change? Like, I had a lot of good friends within the career as a salesman and as a store manager. And I was so lucky that the guy who trained me, like my boss when I was an apprentice, later on hired me as his assistant store manager, and then later on was my, mentor, so to speak. When I became the store manager, we had the same store, 2 places in Odense. I had the one store he was the store manager in the other one. So we saw each other quite a lot and talked every day almost, like, and were personal friends as well. And I just remember going to his place at some point, I guess for some dinner or something, and I told this to him. I was also afraid because I was like, what is he going to think? But I was like, no, mate, I want to do this. I want to quit. I want to go to Copenhagen. I want to pursue my dream. And he was quiet for a while, and I was like, fuck. I just fucking, he's going to say something to our director or the owner of the stores, and then I was like, shit. And he just looked up and he was like, yeah, I'm just curious to why it has took me so long to realize this. Because you're not supposed to be here. Like, you do a good job and everything, and I'm going to miss you, but you're not supposed to be here.
Wow.
I was like, shit.
Did you not expect that?
No, and that really hit home.
Yeah.
And then on top of all this, like, I know a lot of actors who parents hasn't been supportive, or they've been like, no, but you're so clever. Take a university degree and get a job where you can earn some money. Where my parents quite early on was like, well, we appreciate you want to do this and we want to support you all we can, but it would make us happy if you took, got a degree in something first, so you had some kind of safety net, which I did clearly. Like, having been a salesman and such.
Yeah.
But when I accepted it, sorry.
No, I said, yeah. So obviously you did that. You did the retail, you escalate and all that. So that is like a career in itself. Like you could always go back to that.
Yeah. And then when I called them up saying like, I've made a decision, I'm going to quit. I'm going to sell my apartment. I'm going to sell my car, and I'm going to go to Copenhagen to pursue my dream. They were like, okay. Cool.
That's it. Yeah. They were cool with that.
And then they helped me and supported me of all the things by like selling my apartment, selling my car, all of these things. And then I moved to Copenhagen, started a new life.
What about other, like, was there other friends or other sort of parts of your family that was a bit more skeptic and saying, you should take the safe path, or you should, like, it's like, what are you doing kind of thing? Like you're too old, or you're too something, like that's not for, it's too risky. Did you meet any of that sort of resistance?
Not really, like not at this point in life where I took the decision about moving to Copenhagen. I remember like a few of my best mates back home here in Odense had a little going away party for me. And one of the guys, we had a conversation, and he said like, I think it's so cool you're doing this. It's so cool, Dennis. Like, and it makes so much sense. It's not like a rebellious decision, fuck the system, all of this. It's like, no, you have matured a lot over these years. You have something to go back to if everything goes wrong. Like you've already had a life. You have skills. You have knowledge to fall back on. So it makes sense that you pursue your dream now, and you can always come back if something goes wrong. Like, so it makes so much. I think it's so cool where some young people, which I appreciate so much and really like do it, just jumps with closed eyes, and either they fall and smash or they learn how to fly.
Yeah,
I didn't. I made sure if I didn't fly that I wouldn't die, which is also cool. Like, people are different. People should do what feels right for them. I did. So even if he'd said like, I think it's stupid because X, Y, Z, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. People can think what they think. They're not me. I'm not them. This is right for me, so I'm going to do it. And if I fall, I'll make sure I fail 100%. Like,
but then at least you've tried, right? Like, so you go in and it's like, even if you end up back in the retail shop, at least fuck, I did it. I tried. I gave it 110%. But yeah, I failed.
but I remember saying, I know it's a cliche, but a cliche is there because it's often true.
It is.
I didn't want to sit back.
Yep. As
an old man being like, maybe.
And again, life literally is too short. Like, see, you wasted, how many years working in retail where you could have been pursuing this, you know what I mean? But again, like, 8 years? Wow. Okay.
8 to 10 years if you count my whole education before that. Like, if I instead just started working and then at 18 where I could start auditioning, had done that every year since then and got in early, I wouldn't have wasted 8 years on it. But I don't think it's a waste looking back on it now.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
But yeah.
It's again, because it made you realize, it matured you a bit, obviously, like you had those extra years where you sort of really realized, okay, hang on. Now I know what I'm not only meant to be, but also what I'm going to do. Because had you done that, when you were, so I'm assuming this would be mid-20s, so you would probably have been like late teenage years when you started in retail or something. So if you had done it then, you would have been probably too inexperienced and too eager to do stuff. So yeah, I think everything, as you said yourself before, being spiritual, like it was probably the right thing. The whole universe was sort of trying to put everything together there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, but if we then try and sort of fast forward a bit to where we're up to at the moment, like now you're sitting here, you know, the whole friggin' coronavirus is everywhere. What sort of options do you have at the moment in the acting game at this point in time?
Yeah, like it's obviously an odd world for everyone at the moment.
Very.
During this corona times, and some people have a lot more to deal with, which I think is important to articulate as well. If we look a bit more west from Denmark to the States and such, so
yes.
even having to move back to Denmark, which I am now, back with my parents. But
good.
Even though things are a bit rough at the moment, we have privileges that other people don't. And so even though it's tough times, I'm like, I don't give a shit about it. Like I'm going to be okay one way or the other. But to answer to your question, like the opportunities right now, like one of the reasons I moved back to Denmark is, like, as some people might know, especially the English British people looking on this, if anyone is, like, things aren't going too fast over there. So there's a long, it's a long way out in the future before anything is going to open up again over there, theater-wise, production-wise, for TV series and movies. Where in Denmark we have dealt with it differently, in my opinion, better. In some other people's opinion, not. I don't know. For me, it makes sense. Which also means, like, theaters are starting to open now, still with restrictions, obviously. But it feels like it's starting again more and more. And I know a couple of the TV series productions has started already to film again, still with restrictions. And obviously that gives some obstacles in one way or the other. But I feel like people are trying to do the best. Like, it's not like it's the best career in the world to be in, even without coronavirus. But it's a tough way of living. Like, as an actor, it's. But people don't do it for the paycheck. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad, like, Denmark has chosen to do as they have, and things are starting to start up. And obviously, like, one of the good things about what I think is one of the good things about having studied in England and trained in England is they are, in my opinion, much more in your face, so to speak, to reference back to what I've been called, because they are like, okay, no one's hiring me at the moment. I'm just going to do my own work then. I'm going to put on a show myself. I'm going to write a play. I'm going to write a TV series. I'm going to write a short movie. I'm going to whatever, If you don't want to hire me, Mr. or Mrs. Director, I'm going to do it myself. And then seek money different from various places and trying to find a venue and put it on yourself. Which some of my colleagues graduating from East 15, Danish people as well, we did last year. Like, we don't get a showcase in Denmark having graduated from outside Denmark. So two of my colleagues and good friends, two amazing women, took the decision of putting on a Danish showcase, or a showcase for Danish graduated actors from East 15 last year in Copenhagen, which was a huge success. And now I'm in the producing team of doing it again for my year. I joined them last year because it was the first time they wanted to do it, and they needed some some men with them, and me and another colleague and friend did it with them, and now we are putting it on alongside another some other people graduating this year. So it's what we do. If there is a little obstacle, because no one's hiring me, no one's doing this or that, that doesn't matter. I'm just going to do something myself to make myself available and make myself seen in the industry, because that's more or less what it's about. Like, what we see, unfortunately, is that if you're getting used a lot, you will get more work. It's about money, as most people know, this industry. But some of us is trying to make it about the work and the craft and the art. Not saying the people being used aren't good. Like, everyone has opinions on are you good actor, are you bad actor? But like, I would want to see more diversity of usage of actors, both in Denmark and other places, but particularly in Denmark. Like, I feel like we see a lot of the same people on stage, on camera, in the movie theaters. Spread it out, man. Like, Denmark alone produces 20 new actors each year, just from the state school, and then there's all the private school actors. Like, we have so much potential. Use it. Like, learn from it.
But that's actually, it brings me on to, because you're making some very good points there, which are so directly relatable to say, the music industry. Because when you have upcoming bands, that's the same, there's like, no one wants to put them on. Or if you do put you on, like, it's like you get no money, you have to pay to get there. And, but I suppose, and I'd love to get your view on this. When you're an upcoming musician, you still have so many platforms where you can put your music out, like YouTube. You can put a music video out, or playthrough where you sit and play drums or guitar along to a track, and that obviously allows you to connect with your fans or other musicians. How do you do that as an actor sitting at home now, like during the whole coronavirus? Are you able to, sort of similar to the opening scene that we saw, are you able to do some scenes yourself, some shots that you can film or produce yourself and put them up, sort of to extend your show reel, and then use that to go out to, would that be producers or movie companies, for them to sort of see your potential? Or how does that work in the acting game?
Yeah. So, like, for everyone else as well, this has been a weird time, and what do we do to survive? Not only health wise, but also living wise. There's been loads and loads of so cool, like, new things on the internet. Actually, some guys from Australia as well. At least one guy and another guy from UK has worked together on something called Monologathon, where they put actors on the spot, give them 20 minutes of preparation time for a Shakespeare monologue, and then have to perform it after 20 minutes, and all of these things, and to raise money for the acting industry in Australia. And a lot of other things. Like, there's so much out there right now. I'm going to be honest. I have been busy looking into finishing my degree, moving back to Denmark. How do I move my stuff during Corona times? How do I get back myself? All of these things. So I haven't participated in it yet. But I'm sure, like, a lot of these new things on the internet aren't going to stop because coronavirus is getting better. This is going to go on because clearly we've found, like, we can expand ourselves much. Like, right now, if you have a lot of Australian people watching, I wouldn't have had the opportunity if this, like, and but yeah, we do have opportunities to do self-tapes, put them on Facebook, put them on YouTube. If that's your thing, I don't know how how many people are watching like YouTube things in this industry. Probably more and more because of Corona times, but it's engaging directly with the casting directors, with the agents and such, and obviously they know I can't go out find a female actor being like, let's be a couple and let's have a romantic relationship, let's film it, and so I have something to send to my agent or to an agent I want to represent me. They know we can't do that because of Corona, so obviously they allow like a lower standard if you want. Obviously the acting has to be the same, it has to be good, otherwise that's our job, but they allow me to have a scene with myself instead of show how I play to another person because the other person isn't there. But also there's a lot of I know Warner Brothers Studios have a TV like branch department for themselves, where they've reached out to all of the graduates, as far as I know, from East 15 at least.
Oh wow!
You'd be like, hey guys, we know it's tough times. Please send us a headshot and a resume and a few lines about yourself, and we'll get back to you if you're interesting for us. And apparently I am, so I have something to do, so I have to send a scene to them soon, showing my acting to them.
Wow.
And hopefully that'll give something, like, but even if they're like, thank you for your self-tape, we're not going to go further with you, they have still seen me. Like,
of course, yeah.
And I know they see thousands of people and won't probably remember me, or they will because I've done something. You know, there's, like, as a musician, like, I've been to many concerts with bands I didn't know, and half of them I forgot. But there's still these bands I'm like, there was something. Even though I wouldn't go to a concert again necessarily with them, but there was just something about that.
Yeah.
That hit home with me. That was like, wow, that's me. And maybe, just maybe, someone out there at Warner Brothers Studio or elsewhere is seeing a self-tape of an actor, maybe me, or another actor being like, you are not right for this casting, or you're not right for what we're doing right now. But I know I'm not going to forget you. Yeah. And that's what we're aiming for. That's what I'm aiming for. Obviously, I would want a job, but I'd rather, put it in the bank, because I don't want a job I'm not right for. I'm not going to get a job I'm not right for, but I want them to remember me for the future jobs they're doing or for the future castings they need. So for me, it's about building a network, more than at the moment being employed. Obviously, I would love to be employed in the acting career, but I would also make sure I build a foundation to build my career on. That's more important for me.
Cool. I've got sort of two questions sort of coming out of what you just said there. The first one is, like, what can you do to sort of differentiate yourself, like to sort of stand out a bit more? Here I'm talking about, can you do something? Is there some different acting techniques, that's, or specific style that you could go in and sort of perfect and make your own? Or again, like you said, like you made a reference to the music world side. So there's a band that, they had something, like, could you come up with a really cool, acting name? Like, for instance, like, as you know, Stephen Helhammer is not my real name, but that's because my real name, nobody can friggin' pronounce it anyway. So I had to come up with something that was, like the last name here is sort of an amalgamation between my last name and my wife's last name. So it's something that we've been calling ourselves for a long time. And when I then typed it in on the internet, like, there's no one out there called that. So it was easy for me to sort of grab the names everywhere and all that stuff. Would that be something that you could do, to sort of either look at, perfecting a specific style or coming up with like this huge international name, something that sounds awesome. Like, for instance, like you have, the Mountain, That's not his real name, but no one can pronounce his name either. But, and my other question out of that was, when you're saying in regards to all the people out there like casters and stuff that are now currently looking, where would you ideally like to work? Like, would you like to go back to London, or would you like to go I'm assuming Hollywood would probably be the ultimate dream, being in acting, or maybe not. I don't know. But so if you're looking at those two questions, you can answer them any way you want. But I'm super curious to hear that.
Well, to talk about the what we call a stage name is, I remember that was one of the things I was like, what? Like I know there are some actors in Denmark who use the stage names, which is fine. Do you, boo? Like, but I remember, like, am I supposed to do that? Like, okay, your real name is Dennis Du, which is Du means pigeon in Danish. So it's like, okay, but Dennis Du, it's DD. That's cool. Okay, maybe Dennis Dove, because of pigeon, or maybe, I thought, having read theater history, like the theater as we know it nowadays started back in ancient Greece as a celebration, as a festival to the Greek god of wine and theater, Dionysus, and actually Dennis comes from Dionysus. It's evolved down to Dennis. So I was like,
that's pretty cool.
Dennis, all of these things as a joke, because I knew, like, I'm not going to change my name. And also, international wise, Du isn't a last name or surname you would meet so often.
Correct. That's right.
So people can pronounce my name not as I would pronounce it in Danish, but that's fine, because we have those instead of you. But that's fine. Like my name is fine for that. And I'm like, okay, so now I have to be Dennis Dove or Dionysus Du or whatever stage name, character, person, and then there's private Dennis Du, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Like it's too much work, and I know who I am now, and I don't need to be another name, because the name isn't going to change how good or bad an actor I am.
That's right.
So that's just a name. So to clarify that, and to answer the about the techniques and such, obviously we've heard a lot about what kind of techniques different actors use, and some people are method actors, which is really like living the life private as the character is. And I heard a lot of horror stories about this as well, like Heath Ledger and such. But I'm more into, I believe there's as many techniques as there are actors, because some people love method acting, some people love Stanislavski technique, some people love physical techniques, some people, that's again, do what you do best, do what you find, have your own toolbox, being like, you can, like, a lot of the newer techniques, and here we still talk about 100 years old techniques, comes from this kind of same place. Like we had for students in Russia, spreading out all over the world, some to the States, some in Europe and such. So it's just, it has the same feeling or the same colors or tastes, whatever you want to use, but it comes from the same, just like we probably do. Like going back in our heritage, a lot of people has the same forefathers or something. So it's like I don't feel like I used a particular technique or a special technique to differ out from my colleagues. But obviously I have features, as we talked about before, like my face is my face. Yeah. hair growth on head, on beard is mine. Obviously, I can train myself bigger or starve or whatever to get smaller. These things all people can do, but I am me. No one has this right here, which is why you hear a lot of actors being like, this is my living. Don't hit my face. Don't hit my face. That's what I'm gonna make money off. But it's kind of true in a way. Obviously, we put on other people's faces or do something with our face to build a character. But that's our job, like that's what I get paid to do. But I don't. All I think at the moment, what I can do, answering your question, is put on some new skills and keep them up to date. Like if you see my resume, there are some odd things on there for some people, like archery.
Yes, that's right.
and what else is on there? Kickboxing, these sort of things.
There's a lot of interesting stuff on it.
Yeah, and like some of the things I did in helping my training, but also it's cool skills to have. Like we had the opportunity at the school in the evening to once a week do kickboxing with a professional kickboxing trainer.
Nice.
And that helped me just keep my body in shape, but it also gave me some skills. Like I now know how at least to look like a fighter. I'm not saying I'm a good fighter, but at least I know how to pretend to look like one, which is my job. The archery thing I did because of my head of course on the school told me I needed a bit more focus. I was a bit one focus at the time, like as you do in theater. Obviously, me as an actor know the whole journey of my character from the beginning of a play to the end of a play, which I should. But she sometimes felt like I sometimes played ahead, like I knew what was coming, so I started too early to do that. So she said, focus on one thing at the time, have one goal, pursue that goal. Once you've pursued that, the next goal, like the next focus. And she said, well, archery, because it's just you, a bow and a target, one arrow, shoot for it.
That's cool.
Next, shoot for it. And then I started doing that and did like a beginner's course and a basic course on it, which I found I was quite good at, surprisingly. But then my head of course also said to me, like, but we also have to appreciate the fact that you are Scandinavian, you all have the posture you have. Having archery on your CV or your resume isn't a bad thing. It's a good skill, especially in these times. Again, talking about Game of Thrones or these other things like period pieces. The industry is built like this. Like if you have me and another actor and it's between me and him for this particular character or role, if the character needs to be good with a bow and an arrow and I can do it and he can't, obviously I'm going to, time is money. So they rather, unless as we've seen with the newest Robin Hood, which is a couple of years old now, like he didn't know how to do archery. So he got actually a Danish archer to train him. But that's Hollywood and everything has to look right and feel right. And they then said, this actor has all the features in the face and the body and everything that we need for Robin Hood. You don't know how to do archery, but we'll pay for him to learn that. Sometimes that happens as well. But like learning new skills, keeping yourself mentally and health, like, because it is a hard industry. So you can just as easily be like, oh no, I'm never going to get any jobs. I don't get any jobs. What do I do? Blah, blah, blah. But keep yourself in the game. And that's a way for me to do so, learn new skills. And in that way, I will be different in some way or the other from my colleagues. But also just being me, I am different. We are all different. But yeah, I understand your question. And now I've talked so much that I completely forgot your second question.
So the second question was just about like where you would like to potentially work. Like if it's up to you, if you wanted to go back to London, or if you wanted to, you know, make it in the States, probably not at the moment. But is there sort of a specific direction you like to go? Because again, like the fun thing about acting is like there is so many avenues. Like you can pursue, you know, theater, you know, you can do. You mentioned like this TV series. There's obviously a shitload of stuff happening on like all the streaming services as well. So, you know, Netflix and Stan and, there's so many other avenues there. But what would be your sort of like your focus if it was up to you and you could sort of direct a specific path, going, you know, say for instance, in a year's time when hopefully all this is back to normal, where would you like to go, or where would you want to go?
Yeah. So the plan was I was supposed to stay in London after graduating. I didn't because of Corona. So like I still feel like I live my life on day-to-day basis. I have dreams, obviously, but they are big, and I believe in dreaming big. Because why not?
You have to.
You have the opportunity to do it, so why not? Like I've mostly, as you can see on my resume, done theater work, like stage work. I have done a feature film in Denmark. I have done some short films in Denmark. I did some voiceover, which actors are being used for as well. Like, as you say, there are so many things: voiceover, narration on documentaries, audiobooks, TV series actor, movie actor, stage actor, and within just the stage, you have so many different genres and such. So yeah, there's a lot. I love to be on stage. I absolutely love it, which I found quite early, which is probably why I wanted to be an actor and why I wanted to play music and be in a band, to be on stage, having the one-to-one interaction with the audience. Even though we as actors sometimes play within the fourth wall, depending on the play. But I also really want to do camera work. I know it sounds like, yeah, obviously you want to do everything. No, not everything, but like you have these camera and live as the two main things, and then you have so many sub-genres under that. But I really, because they are magical in their own way. Like you have so many possibilities if you have a big enough budget to do things on camera that you just can't do. Like you can try as much as you want, and it can look good and has a magical effect in its own way on stage. But there's just things you can't, like you can jump from the office environment straight into a gang fight with a glimpse of a second on TV.
Yeah,
you can't do that on stage. You have to change the settings, so it has magical things and the magical ways of telling the story in different ways, and I really, really enjoy both. As I said, I've mainly done theater stage work, so I would love to do some more camera work, but not letting go. I'm not aiming to be just one of them, because of the, like, obviously there's the talk about the whole, where's the money? Obviously there's more money in TV and movie in there than being on stage. But as I said before, most actors aren't doing it because of the paycheck. We know this. We know there's a big difference where the money is, but also not all actors can be on camera, not all actors can be on stage. I've seen camera actors who, because of their name, and they are good actors on camera, have being on stage being like,
right,
that's money wasted. Fair enough. And vice versa, like seen brilliant stage actors being way too big on camera, because we have to reach the audience in a different way. Like being on camera right now, I often am like, if I'm here, okay, I'm too close, because or not, and I can't get too far away, otherwise I'm going to lose exactly
the whole framing.
You have the frame.
Yep.
Where on stage, obviously, you have to hit the back row because they paid to be there and to hear the story you're telling. But yeah, so to narrow it down to one answer set in stone is I want both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose London again would be a brilliant choice because they have such a big theater production with the whole West End stuff, and they're probably one of the biggest movies locations in Europe as well. So yeah, it might work out to go down that way. Have you made some connections that you'd be able to reach out to when the sky is blue again?
Yeah, I have. I am currently not represented by any agencies in the UK. So if anyone's out there listening to this,
is that important? Is that important to be an agency?
It's more important to be with a good agent than it is to be with a bad agent. Obviously, like if you are with a bad agent, it might be better being without. You can get jobs without an agent. They have connections. Like you know how it is in all industries, not only in arts and music. Like obviously, I've had some good things going for me as a salesman because I had a good network.
It's all about who you know. Yeah, it's all about who you know.
And obviously, being represented by an agent, they have a huge network, hopefully, that can get you some work. So yeah, I feel like it's important. It's not the be all and end all. If I don't have an agent, it just makes my life more difficult to get a career over there, alongside getting a career in Denmark. But also, again, this is why I'm happy that I spend so much time in retail and as a salesman, because that's what I got to do now. I don't have to sell 100% cotton shirts and with the right tie to it. I have to sell Danish do for the right job. And I know how to sell things.
It's a good trait. It's a good trait to have again, because it allows you to talk to people and understand people. And again, have conversations. And in many ways, I'm not saying you are an actor, but you are someone that are engaging with an audience, if you like. Yeah. But it's vastly different to being on stage or being in a movie. So there's another whole side of your sort of CV and your whole intro that we haven't covered. That's you playing music.
Yeah.
So can you tell us how that started? And obviously I'm assuming, you mentioned you played Rock of Ages. So did that have a difference that you could play guitar there? Did that give you the job, give you the edge over the competition? Nah.
No, I don't think so. Well, to make a long story short, I feel like I started fairly around the same time, as I said earlier, playing guitar as I did acting, around the age of 10. Don't know where it came from. Like my dad was taking lessons and had a guitar in the house. I started getting interested in music. Again, don't know why, but sometimes it just, like, we hear a lot of musicians being like, and then I heard this song and I was like, wow, maybe it's that, I don't know. But I started wanting to learn how to play the guitar and started out. I do remember though, where it really hit home was I was the biggest fan of Green Day as a young teenager.
Cool.
And I remember when they released the American Idiot album in 2004, and I saw the music video to the song American Idiot, and him standing there with his Gibson Les Paul, the black one with the white plate on it, and this was actually one of the first times I saw Billy Joe Armstrong, the lead singer of Green Day and the guitarist, without his Fender Strat. So I was like, whoa, that's new. He's very iconic for his Stratocaster. But I remember seeing this guitar and just fell completely in love with it. That's one thing. But then also being like, oh, I want that. Just like as when I saw the behind the scenes.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, wow. I have to learn how to do that. And so I did. And I was like, I need that guitar. And then I looked in the magazine of the local music store, found the guitar, and I was like, wow, that's expensive. So that's not going to happen. And this was in 04, just before I turned 14. So clearly I didn't have however many dollars that is.
Yeah, they're quite expensive.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I bought Gibson's copy brand Epiphone for basically no money. So I got one that looked like, and yeah, then I just started like playing at the school. Like once a month, we had a gathering of all the students and teachers, where me and one of my best mates at the time, we formed like a kind of a band. We got access to the music room during recess, which no one else had. That was quite cool. So we spent our time, our recesses, playing music, basically playing new songs, and performed at these gatherings once a month. And then later on started a band with his brother on the drums and found a bass player. Started writing our own songs. It was shitty, but looking back on it now, listening to it every once in a while is still nostalgic. But yeah, then later on I found this was in the little village I'm from outside Odense. And then I got some friends in the theater industry in Odense, and some of them knew musicians as well, like mashup of actors and musicians. And I started hanging out with some other people, and they had a band and needed a new guitarist at some point. And I auditioned, if you want, and they decided to go with me. And I had to leave the other band because I had more ambitions than my first band had. And then I joined them, and I feel like I played with them for maybe 6 years or so in Odense. And we had an okay name for ourselves in the upcoming industry and music industry in Odense. And yeah, cool. so spent a lot of time doing that. Then I was, a little fun story is I was a Gibson man from day one when I saw the Gibson Les Paul. And when I turned 18, I think it was 18 or 20, one of them, the guys gave me a Fender Strat as a birthday. Seriously? But I actually ended up modifying it with some EMG humbucks and made it a bit more heavy that fitted to the music we played. And I actually ended up using that more. I had a Gibson SG at that point as well, because I was highly influenced by AC/DC as well. So I need to have an SG. But yeah, then we stopped the band just a year, maybe 2 years before I moved to Copenhagen. And then I had to sell a lot of my music equipment before I moved to England, because I knew it was going to be expensive. And I was kind of pursuing that career now. So I didn't need my big amplifiers and 5 electric guitars and all of that. So yeah, I sold it. But yeah, I only have one acoustic guitar now and one electric guitar. But a cute little story is the electric guitar I have is a Gibson Les Paul traditional, a gold top, because I had the opportunity to switch or make a bargain with him getting my SG and a couple of thousand Danish kroners, and then he would trade with the Les Paul. So I did that. So I have my first dream guitar now, just another color, but it's the satin gold. She's beautiful.
Nice.
But I didn't want to give up completely on my instruments, because sometimes it's not enough for me to just dive into the acting thing or the spiritual thing. I need to play some acoustic guitar or produce some music every once in a while. So I haven't given up. Maybe just more, not even on a hobby basis, because I have started more and more again producing music, but not trying to be a band or trying to be in a band or trying to write songs as Danish do and putting my music out there. I'm probably more influenced by movie music and so
doing like music scores or what?
Yeah, things for that, like a particular feeling of music, music for a certain feeling, if so to speak. I'm looking into producing some music for some poetry a friend of mine has made, and putting it out there, just not to gain anything from it, but to make it available. Right. Because obviously during these years, like one of my best mates now, who studied with me and he's 15 as well, is also a Danish guy, and I feel I'm not a huge like connoisseur or whatever you want to say, expert on poetry, but some of his poetry just hits home with me, and he's like, well, it's just thoughts, like, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't know the story. So I'm always eager to learn new things within the creative area. Like I feel like poetry might be the next thing, because I don't know it, and I envy people's feeling of it. When they hear just the right poem for them, they go completely nuts, just as I did when I hear a song. I'm like, the whole thing. A lot of my friends think it's also cute, but also manic in a way, being like, oh, listen to the drums, this guitar riff or whatever. Like, that's the same thing I see other people have with poetry, and I want to experience, I want to explore if that can be a part of me as well, because I want as much of my life to be the right guitar riff, or actor hitting home with me on screen or on stage. I want as much as my life to be that, to have access to that. So I during the Corona times as well, obviously people have had time to learn new things, and I'm looking into to make music scores and music for the purpose of helping others, reaching others. Sometimes when people say like, this pop artist has written this lyric and it just helps me, cool. I want to do that with music, because I'm not a lyricist, or I don't write lyrics. I think I'm too corny, too cliche, too bad at it. So I'm not going to do that. I'd rather write some music and then have other people collab with me, writing lyrics, writing melodies for song, if the melody needs a song. Sometimes it doesn't, which is like, I sent you a couple of tracks I've working on, and one of them is very cinematic. I feel like is written for maybe a movie, maybe an animated movie. I don't know. Like, but it's written not to be. It doesn't need a vocal track on it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm working on that. So I haven't let go on my music career, but it's not my main focus, but I still need it in my life.
Well, it's funny because you see, like there is not quite a few, but there's definitely some actors that are, or some actors that are also musicians, and some musicians that are also in the acting game. So there's definitely a connection there. But it's interesting to hear that sort of your current focus on music is more to actually do the scores, like to do the sort of like the background, like the emotional. Like that you can sort of boost the atmosphere of the scene with your music. That's quite unique to do that. Especially, I was about to say, especially if you're coming from a Green Day Gibson background, you want to play some punk rock, and now you're doing like the big synths.
For me, it's nowadays at least, it's all about telling the story, telling your story. I have a lot of stories to tell. Maybe writing lyrics and telling them through song isn't the right path for me to tell them. But if I have a feeling inside me, I sent you 2 other tracks as well. Both of those tracks are just the feeling I had at the moment. And I didn't know how to put it on words, which is probably why my poetry knowledge and experience isn't that big, because for me it was more about a sensation or like sensual things, not as in a sexy way, but just like using your senses.
Yeah.
And your ears is that for me. So, and sometimes the things I produce is maybe 13 seconds long and never see the daylight, which is fine. But for me to listen back on it actually can help me in my acting career as well. Because if I need to be in that state I was in when I wrote that piece of music, put it in my ears and I'll be there in a second.
Wow.
So it's
interesting.
Yeah, so it also helps myself, but also, as I said, maybe I'll put some of it out there. Maybe I'll put it as an underlying thing on a narration or a voiceover poetry, on a voiceover poem with my music underneath it. I don't know. Like some people did like a Shakespeare thing during this Corona times where a friend of mine did a painting of Shakespeare, and she had to recite one of the sonnets. She had to do something with the sonnet, so she chose to paint a modern painting of William Shakespeare. Recorded the sonnet on my equipment. I helped her with it, and then I was like, "Well, I have this piece of music. Want to use it? Like, it fits to the sonnet." And she was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I want that." Which is one of the things I sent to you. So that's that's just music, background music to her doing voiceover on the sonnet and visuals. So, yeah.
Interesting. It's quite unique. It's actually funny, that you're mentioning the fact that you can put a song on and it sort of puts you in a certain state of mind. I remember one of the first chats I did after I started doing these streams. I was talking to my sister, which I know that you know as well, because she's the one that sort of put us together. But she was like, her and I was talking about how music, sort of can set the background for your own life. Like there is certain songs that, instantly connects you to certain memories, to certain events in your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use music myself too. Like when I need to do something creative, I have a certain genre of music that I would put on. Or again, or if you got in your resume as well, as you had weightlifting as well. Usually like you very few people would go down and lift heavy weights and listen to jazz or something. Like, you need something that empowers you. You need to listen to Green Day. You need something with some guitars on or something. Or at least like a fast paced beat. Yeah. Like some people listen to some, like electronic songs like techno or something like that. But yeah, it's super interesting to hear that you have those little sound clips that you can put on and you click over to this, state of mind or whatever it is. It's super cool. And it's something that I think a lot of people would be able to resonate with as well. Because music is in general just such a huge drug.
It is.
Yeah. Interesting, man.
Like I've often hear people like, so I've met some people in my life where I'm like, so what kind of music do you listen to? And they're like, well, I really don't listen to music. I'm like,
well, of course you do.
You know. No, I don't. And I'm like, but we can't avoid it. We can't avoid it. It's everywhere, which is a good thing, I think. Like, there's music in everything. Like, and that's a cliche to say as well, but like, empty glass like has a sound. You put it together, boom, you have music. What is music? Music is waves, sound waves, and that's everywhere. You can find music in everything, which is a romantic thing to say, I guess. But I really feel like that. I have a special hearing condition as well, which it's overstimulated in a way. So I hear every noise, and some of them is almost killing me, and some of them is, which I guess is why I sometimes appreciate it so much as I do. I know a lot of other people who does as well, but that's would be my guess and answer to why music is still so important for me. Because I can now with the skills I have from training as an actor and being a musician for years, I have the possibility, as you said, and as I said, to put down these little blocks of emotions into sound. And because it's me, I can easily go back to listening to, okay, what was my thought process to write this piece of music or this score, and remember in my body how I felt. And it's a tool for me just as much as it's for surviving.
Yeah. It's funny too about when you are sort of resonating with music as well. I find it, I don't know if that's just me being a drummer, but you know, if I'm walking and I'm listening to music, if it's a pace that's not me sprinting, I would start walking in the same pace as the tempo of the song. Or again, when you're talking about there's music everywhere, like I often sit and, you know, tap the table or tap my legs, or, you know, cause you know, it's in me. But yeah, it's crazy. It's such a primal thing for, you know, for humans as well, because, you know, there's like music or rhythm has been around, you know, for, you know, hundreds and thousands of years. So yeah, super interesting. I just want to say, if there's anyone out there who is watching now, I think we might do a Q&A in about 5 to 10 minutes. So if you've got any questions, just pop away and we'll try and round this up here. I've written something down here. Just thought based on some stuff here, because obviously, because you said you had theater and music, you kind of covered some of it anyway. But when you made this decision to, I think you said you sort of had to give up your music career to pursue theater, because you started both of them at the same time. How come one sort of took over? Because if you were, because just sort of thinking back on the last nearly 2 hours that we've been talking, you must have been super busy, man, when you were young. Like if you picked up guitar and acting at the same time, and you would have been about 10, like that is like just to learn to play the guitar good enough for you to be in a band and being on stage. That is a lot of hours of practicing. And for you to do the same with acting, that is a lot of hours too. So for you to sort of build yourself up to, you know, a decent level in two very, time challenging and time consuming, tasks, why did acting sort of take over? What was the more appealing factor about that rather than playing guitar? Because they're obviously both two very artistic and very creative things.
Yeah. Yes, and as I thought back then, and as I still think, it's I'm not going to ever give up on any of them. But like for a lot of years, when I did theater and music at the same time, and then all my retail training and working there came in. So obviously having to work 9-10 hours a day, having a band and performing on stage with theater. There's not enough. Well, there is, but I need sleep as well. I had to give up theater because that was the most time consuming at the time. Because going into productions, especially in the amateur, semi-pro aspect of it, you have 3 months from when you start to you perform. It's not every day, but it's in the rush hours, if you want. Like it's often like from 7 to 10 in the evening, midweek, and being in stores. Sometimes we close the store at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. You can't be both places at the same time. So I had to give up theater for a couple of years. Still did music back then, which I absolutely loved and adored. Got some good friends there as well. But then, like, I never really had that. I've never really said to myself, I want to be a big music star. I had, but that was later on. But that was something primal or something early on in me. The little Danish dream, being like, I want to be an actor. I want to be a professional actor. So even though I left acting for a couple of years because I didn't have time to do it, I still had, that was the dream, but one doesn't outrule the other. Like, as you said before, a lot of actors are musicians and vice versa. But yeah, so it doesn't outrule one or the other. And yeah, so that's probably why I went with, no, that is why I went with that. Like,
yeah. Another thing that sort of, again, it just clicked then when you were saying that, you know, how you were working in the shop all day and you had to go and either rehearse guitar or one of the plays if you were doing like some theater. Where's all your social life gone? Like have you had time to have a partner or to actually hang out with your friends, and like how does that come into the whole thing?
Well, I've been very blessed with, and as you know as well, in these industries or in these things, crafty, creative things, we often tend to hang out other than just being, now it's band rehearsal time. Like, we hang out after. That is your friends. What you do.
Yeah.
In the early years, with the hobbies, creative hobbies you like, that is your friends. Probably just like when, like football, young football players hang out with other football players because they need to be in that environment in their private life as well. Otherwise, it's a lifestyle. It's not job. Hopefully, you can make it your job and live from it if you want, but it's a lifestyle. It's not, so all, like, my whole network, more or less, I can come up with 1 or 2 people who aren't actors or musicians, but they are related to the industries in one way or the other, or have the same kind of interests in one way or the other. That is my network. That has been my social environment since I started doing it. So in that way, I've been blessed with it. Also, my former partners has one way or the other, at least in the earlier teen years, later teen years. Yeah, so like the more, what do you say, adulty relationships they have also been related in some way or the other, which has been good or sometimes bad, but that's how it is. But yeah, as you say, I've been a busy boy.
That's how you get ahead.
Yeah, that's like if you snooze, you lose. I don't know the fun ways of saying these word expressions in English, but like
I got a good one for you then in English. There's a saying that I use, or a saying that I've heard, which is the harder you work, the luckier you get. So, so, and that again proves, as you were saying as well, like, you put in, like you sort of hone your craft. If you're going to take the next couple of months or however long it takes until, casting opportunities come up. Yeah. You would sit home and you would add stuff to your resume, like you can practice your archery, or like actually you never mentioned that, but the whole puppetry, that's another fun one.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, you work harder and then all of a sudden, opportunities start to pop up. And they don't pop up because you're lucky, or very rarely because you're only lucky. It's usually because you also do the right things. You actually, you put in the hours.
I am happy that I am privileged enough to be able to use that phrase. Yeah, because that is true for most of us. But again, as we touched in on earlier, there are unfortunately people out there who aren't as lucky. But yeah, I think I delve into as well during these times, especially. But like, so yeah, as I said before, like making those little music pieces and maybe putting them out there for people to just hopefully enjoy, but not trying to gain something from it for myself. That is something that I just want to put out there now and saying everyone should do that at this point in life. Like, stop doing things for yourself right now and help where you can, because there are people that need help. But yeah, I know that's not where you were going. But yeah, I know I do get what you mean about the harder you work, the more lucky you get.
But yeah.
It's like us. That's completely true.
I was about to say, it's a very good expression used for people in the entertainment industry, or people that are sort of trying to take a different path in life. I know it sounds so cheesy, but like people that aren't, working in a retail store or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. It's just, but if you have that, mindset that I need to do something else, I need to follow my dream, then you need to follow that dream 100%. And if you keep following that dream 100% and you're persistent and consistent, then eventually you're going to get lucky because you keep pursuing it. And I think so many people out there are too scared to take that risk. And because, as you mentioned earlier as well, it is so you're stepping outside your comfort zone. You're doing something that's it's unfamiliar. I have this safety net, and all of a sudden I have to let that go. I have to make that phone call. I have that conversation that's awkward. I have to break up with something or someone in order to achieve the goal. Just before I was about to say, just before we do a Q&A, I love to ask people that come on the show if they have any sort of tips and tricks for anyone who are either wanting to pursue the dream or are already in it, but are sort of a little bit stuck, or just any sort of advice that you could sort of give someone, or anything that have worked for yourself, sort of over the fact that, you've walked the walk. Like you have, like you've cut the cord, you moved to Copenhagen, you went there, you tried out, and then you moved to London and stuff. And so I'm sure there would have been some ups and downs there. If you could go back and change something, you would. But if you could if you had a couple of good, tips or tricks, or just some good advice for people, I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
Like, obviously what's worked for me, and I think a lot of young actors, and what I heard the first time I auditioned, they were like, you're not experienced enough. Like, you're too young. And a lot of young actors maybe hear that. What has worked for me is I've really tried to put myself out there, not only in the acting industry as we talked about, but also music, and in lack of a better word, normal jobs. But I've tried a lot. I've been a lot of places. I've met a lot of people. I've, all these things to get more experienced. So put yourself out there. Like that is what you do. If you want to be an actor, that is basically what you do. You make yourself available. Not you, not your inner, you put your body out there. Say, this is me. What do you need me to do? But in order to do those things, you need a toolbox, or you need like knowledge. So try as much as possible, within the legal boundaries. But do that, and then be curious, be playful, because that's what we do. That's why it's in English called a play, because that's what it is. We play a game.
So what would that be? Like, try and give us an example of something you've done to be curious, like something you've done to sort of be something you haven't done, or something that, you just had to try.
Well, again, talking about the archery, obviously that was in school, while I was training at the school, and I was being told, why don't you go do this? But that built upon that, because then I was like, okay, fair enough. Archery, I do that. I spent so many Fridays in a row in this archery club with only old people, like 60 plus people. And every once in a while, it was like, okay, guys, stop shooting. It's tea time. And then we went and had tea, and it was sweet, and it was cute, but it was fun. And it helped me doing something else other than within my safety comfort zone, which was now being at the school and being at home in England. Now I also saw other people outside school. Fair enough, they were old people, but they were other people. So that's what I mean about. And then after that, when I got back during Christmas, I grabbed a few of my mates from back home in Odense. They said, like, I have a crazy idea. Why don't we go sleep in a shelter just for a night between Christmas and New Year's? And in the beginning, they were like, that's cold. I was like, yeah, well, just put on some clothes. Let's just go to a shelter place, build a bonfire, cook over the bonfire, and don't get a night's sleep because it's too cold and windy. And turn off our phones and such. And we did that. It was fun. And we talked about doing it a tradition again. Unfortunately, we haven't had the opportunity this last Christmas to do it, but it's going to happen again. And on top of that, I was like, okay, now I did archery. I want to use my hands. I want to be in the nature. All of these things. Fuck it. I want to learn how to horseback ride. I've always been afraid of horses, but my cousin, her husband has a horse. So I ringed them up, being like, "Hi, is it possible for me to maybe try and sit on the horse?" And they were like, "Yeah, come down." So then I did that. I haven't pursued it because I haven't had access to a horse, but I want to pursue it because it's another skill, and it adds something. It adds a fun story, if anything at all. Like at least that fun story, and you look ridiculous when you don't know how to do it. But that's why I need to learn how to do it, because eventually that could give me a role.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
So, that's what I mean. Try different things, because you will learn something about yourself, and you get a tool that you eventually can use to something. Be playful. Again, it's all it is. It's a game. It's a made up reality.
Yeah.
That is what acting is.
But it's an awesome tip. It's an awesome tip. And again, it diversifies you. Like, it adds, like you're adding more bows, or adding more arrows to your bow. So you're able to have more ammunition that way. Fantastic. Love it.
And then be professional. Like, take yourself seriously, because there are plenty of people out there who won't take you seriously. Especially when you're not a professional actor, and you know that as a musician as well. Oh, you're a musician, huh? Yeah.
You want to start? Yeah.
Have I seen you in anything? Probably not. But does that make me not an actor? Or what? Now that I am a professional trained actor, I can just say that. But unfortunately, sometimes you have to have those titles to be able to do it. But I remember just before going to England, every time someone was like, "Oh, you're an actor? How cool! Have I seen you in anything?" And some people being suspicious, being like, "Have I seen you in anything?" I just started replying, "Well, I don't know. How often do you go to the theater?" Because I know it's a downgoing industry. And they're like, "Well, I don't do that a lot." Well, then you don't. Well, probably not that you've seen, because you haven't been there. So start going there, and that's what I want to say as well. Like to people who maybe have interest in this, support your theaters, man. Like, one thing is, like, some of the theaters are held by the government, but we need to educate ourselves in this as well. Like, it's a big cultural thing we need to educate ourselves in, and we need to go there. We need to learn our next generations to go to the theater, just as much as, like, there's a lot of talk, thankfully, a lot of talk about this whole BLM thing in the US, where we need to educate. Unfortunately, we have to educate about how to treat other people, and other colors and genders and races and choices in life, but which we just need to educate us. We need to start over, man. Like, we theater was once big. There's some things, clearly, racism and such, we don't have to start over with, but we need to get better at. We just need to educate each other, help each other. It's not, there's nothing wrong, which I'm also happy about you giving me the opportunity to sit here and talk about me. Not that I'm no special, like, but I have something to tell. Like, other people might have to. That's a form of education. I
was about to say what I've actually found doing this is that like, you could have so many high, I probably couldn't, but you could have a conversation with a really high profile person, and they would tell you everything that you probably, or a lot of stuff that you know already, because they have such a public life. But all the stories that I have gotten from here, talking to people that are obviously, the vast majority of them have been in the industry, in the entertainment industry, but they all have had so many interesting stories and so many tips and tricks that are so relevant, because they are in the game right now. They're in the trenches, sort of trying to go to war and trying to get further forward. Whereas if you're already up there, like, what are you going to say that can relate to someone who's down here? So doing this is such a huge, like, again, it's, I've spoken to quite a few people after the show as well, where I said, look, it's like a win-win-win. Like, I get something from it. Whoever the person that comes on gets to tell their story in whatever sort of degree that they feel comfortable with. And most people, either watching or listening, hopefully get a really good conversation and get to know that person sort of, a bit more personal. So for instance, as a band, not that I want to sit and keep talking about music here, but as a band, it gives a lot of people the opportunity to become a fan without even hearing the music, because they can resonate or relate to what that person has to say, which again is very much the same with you. Like, as you said, have I seen it before? No. But you can go back and listen to this, or if you're doing any other podcast, and people can get to know you. So they might want to follow you just because they like what you're saying, and then actually, become a fan that way. Just on that note, before we have a Q&A, where should people go if they want to sort of follow you and be up to date with what's happening? You obviously have a couple of social platforms. You have a website. So tell us a bit about that.
I am terrible on the social media. I really need to up my game on that.
We're going to have a chat about that after then.
Yeah, cool. Because I remember before leaving, like I worked as a music teacher at a school in Copenhagen, and everyone there were like, my colleagues there were like, make sure to post things on Instagram, Facebook, blah, 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 because we really want to follow your journey. And I was like, yeah, man, yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm terrible at it, like, absolutely. But yeah, follow me on Instagram. I want to say do it on Instagram mainly. Like I have a Facebook account, which is a private one. So I tend to only accept the people I know or for some strange reason have met. So Instagram is probably the platform right now. Yeah, as you know, I have a website as well, dennisdu.com. It's mainly for my face out there for professional people to get in contact with me if they want. Yeah, you can see my resume and you can see other stuff I've done, but that's mainly for professionals for industry people, as a business card online. But so yeah, Instagram might be it.
Good, cool. So you aren't planning on maybe doing some YouTube stuff, or is that too early? Like you need some more clips, or it's too daunting?
I don't have any plans of being an influencer or a YouTuber. That's not my game.
No, but what it could be, like, it could obviously be, same as you had that video clip that we saw in the beginning. Yeah. And I got another small clip for us to watch at the end. Like, that could be something, as almost like a resume for you to have online clips or something. Again, I don't know. Of course, you can have that on your Facebook pages, and your website as well.
That's where the difference between being a musician, a solo artist, or a band, and being an actor is different. Because often, if I'd done anything, if I did a scene from a movie, that's not my product. Like that's just me being on work.
Right. Okay.
Like where obviously it is for a band as well, but it's, I don't know, 8 out of 10 times if you put something on YouTube as a musician or a band, you do it to reach out to your fans and let them know your work as well, your music, your songs. Where obviously, if I produce something myself, if I write a theater piece or a scene, film it with myself, I might put it out there because that's mine. But me telling another one's story is just me going to work. Like I don't feel like any salesman films himself on a day-to-day basis going to work. I might do it. I don't know. But I might need to be a bit more experienced and a bit more active on Instagram and Facebook before being on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Instagram and the website is sort of where people should go to follow up on the latest news.
Like if you're a professional, and as I said before, I am looking for representation. So when this becomes your podcast, and if anyone find me on my website or add me on Facebook if you are I use my Facebook more and more as a professional site for the actor connecting with the industry people more than, like, if I needed a fan page, I'm probably going to make one. I don't feel like I need a fan page. So I need it for my purpose, to reach to my employers. So if any industry people are listening or watching or anything, then it's the Facebook or the webpage. For fans who want to follow me, sounds weird, but Instagram is the platform for them. Yeah.
No, I mean, don't sell yourself short. It's been a really interesting. It's been a really interesting story, and you're really good at talking, which again is very important. It's important to tell a story. You have to be good at talking. Dennis, let's just head over and see if we have any couple of questions here. I have got one here. So, do you really believe that if you don't succeed as an actor, that you could go back as a salesperson, as the common sense advisors say? So, do you really believe that if you don't succeed as an actor, that you would then go back and work as a salesperson? I think that might be how it is.
Yeah, I feel like that might be the question as well, because if it's the other way around, like would the salesman industry take me back? Yeah, but would I do it? No, probably not. Probably not. But like as a young guy, that was my advice from parents and others back then. Have something as a safety net, so you have something to fall back on.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. But like, again, you're not going to become a millionaire from day one as an actor unless you get hit the Hollywood roles or movie roles from day one. So am I going to work now as a salesman? Maybe. I don't know. But I need money one way or the other. Like, no one's going to pay my food or my rent. If you are out there and you want to do that, please let me know. But otherwise, I might have to be a salesman again whilst pursuing the acting career and more acting work. So.
Yeah, a lot of people need a lot of musicians and actors. They need some sort of day job, especially in the early days when you are sort of just trying to get by.
Yeah.
Another question. This is actually something that you talked about very early on. Whatever happened to that calf injury you were talking about?
Did someone ask that? It got fine again. Like I saw a physiotherapist who actually happened to be specialized in running injuries, so mainly in the legs. So he was so good and helped me recover from it in a couple of months. Actually, it was like I pulled my calf muscle, not completely, but it tore it apart a little bit, and it's good.
So did it happen because you went running?
No.
Oh, so it just happened.
It happened during a warm up, but I did a lot of exercise, and to be fair, I might have lifted a bit too heavy a couple of weeks before this audition. So and when people who does weightlifting, leg day, worst day ever, especially the days to come after that. And so, but I couldn't feel anything, but then we had to sprint on the spot as a warm up for the audition. And then I just stepped down at one point and it just felt like someone stabbed me with a knife in the calf. So that was why I got him as my physiotherapist, because he knew these kind of injuries. It wasn't a complete pulled muscle, but it was torn a little bit. But he helped me recover quite quickly. So that's nice.
Cool, man. Oh, well, it's a good thing that it wasn't anything sort of super serious, that you could recover fairly quick, because I think you said that sort of you got fit enough to then go to the other audition for the London school.
My leg was taped completely up, but with stretch expansion.
Exactly. Yeah, it's usually good when it's just the muscle that you can sort of strip it back up. My sister is writing here. She says, I like the concept that you mentioned of music accompanying feelings and moods. That is exactly my take on what music does and can do. It puts us in a certain mood and triggers certain feelings. Great stuff. And then she said, keep telling your stories on stage, through music, or just like this. Just keep rocking.
Thank you.
So that's good. That's good. And obviously, yeah. So the whole Robin Hood style I think people like the whole archery stuff. It's a great story.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. Is there anything else that you can sort of think of that you'd like to just mention before we wrap it up? I'm just sitting here and going through your very, very cool resume here.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of?
I mean,
any final last words?
Well, I do have some final last words, but they're not going to be about me. Like, as I've mentioned a couple of times now, like, I need to articulate this. Even I don't know how many people are looking or anything, but I want, this is something I want to do as well, as I said earlier, about educating myself and trying to make a difference in whatever way I can these days. Things that's happening in the US right now because of George Floyd's death, all of that, Black Lives Matters organizations all over, like, guys, try and help as much as possible. If you have spare money, please donate to one of the foundations. There are loads of them, because like we need to deal with this issue, right? One thing is we have to deal with Corona. That's Mother Nature that has want to play a game, but this racism all over the world going on, and in your industry, Stephen, like in music and such, in the acting industry as well, it's still going on. We need each other, man. Like, we can't tell stories without everyone being involved, because everyone has a story and everyone should have the possibility to tell their story and live their lives without anyone feeling they can decide whether or not that's happening. So guys, educate yourself, talk about this problem that's going on, and help wherever you can, man. It's so important. And again, the money for these donations are being used very wisely, and we need the world in general to wake up, but especially what's going on in the US right now is just horrible. Like, so
it is
on that matter, that could be my last note, because like, I don't want to end up saying something about me, because I'm privileged enough not, and so are you, like, not to have these issues or problems in life. Not everyone is so lucky that they can pursue their dream, or maybe they can, but they have other problems as well that we don't, as mainly white people in this world. So if, I don't know, if anyone has enjoyed listening to my story, I'm just lucky enough to have been privileged enough to do so. Not everyone has that, and let's help each other so everyone can pursue their dream.
Powerful words, man. Very true. Very true. Dennis, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And I'm super, like, believe it or not, we've been talking for nearly 2.5 hours. So you are now on paper, you're the person I've had on for the longest so far. So you hold the record for now. So congratulations on that. Dennis, can you just quickly just tell us the last scene we're going to see here is from a Danish movie. It is I think you're some kind of store. You're behind the counter.
I'm a salesman.
You're a salesman. That's it. That's it.
I'm a menswear salesman.
So how did this role come up? And where does this sort of fit in with your whole when you look at your timeline, like, when does this sort of happen?
This is approximately a year into my training in Copenhagen. What as I mentioned early on, network is everything. I have a very good friend who is has been working his way up from a runner to a location manager and these kind of things on movie and TV productions in Denmark. And one day he just rang me up saying, like, "Hello, mate. just wanted to let you know that I might need you to do a self-tape for the director of this movie. And I was like, okay, why?
Cool.
Well, they said they need menswear salesmen for the movie, and they've had a couple of actors coming in for the castings, but no one has been the right type. So I just mentioned you. Said, well, he is a man, like that. That's what he did for 8 years, being a menswear salesman. He's also an actor. Maybe he could be the one. And they asked me to, and I sent them a self-tape on the scene, and I got the gig. Like,
fantastic.
Yeah.
You need to put. So I think you need to put that on your resume, that you can also sell men's clothes.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Dennis. I'm going to put that on now. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. I really enjoyed hearing your stories. And so many of them too. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish to go on for an hour or two more.
Well, then we might have to get you back one day when there's when there's more to talk about, because clearly there is. But man, look, I'd love to have you back. So let's stay in touch. Let's stay in touch. Thanks so much, Dennis. I will put on this clip now, and enjoy the rest of your day in Denmark. It's about bedtime here. So
yeah, cool. Well, sleep well then. Talk to you later, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks so much for tuning in or listening along to the show. If you like the show, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review and subscribe to my social channels. It doesn't cost you anything, but it greatly helps me to build my networks and my chances of getting sponsors to keep this show running. If you want to take it to the next level, please head over to patreon.com/Stephen Helhammer and become a patron by joining the exclusive community there. You can start from as little as $3 per month. And for just a little extra, you get access to some fantastic features, outtakes, behind the scenes stuff, and much, much more. That's less than the cost of a cup of coffee per month. And that way you can help me build better content. I can devote more time to find awesome guests and just generally just keep everything flowing. If you want to be on the show or subscribe to my mailing list, send an email to steven@helhammer.com, and that is HELhammer.com. That way I can start sending you exclusive invites, random stuff, and messages that, who knows, you might enjoy. So that's it. Have a rocking day ahead, guys, and I will see you on the live stream or in your headphones very soon. Take it easy.